Sarah, we hope you're listening.
I had coffee yesterday. Coffee is not the devil. When people work with me, I think that's the first thing that they get so afraid of. They're like, please don't take away my coffee.
We are having a Mercury retrograde kind of time over here. First up, what are you using as a desk right now?
My cooler, my camping cooler.
I love that. We want to talk about what coffee does, what it really does.
I'm not going to cuss. Drinking coffee gives you energy, but the energy is not coming from the coffee. It's basically stealing future energy from your body.
What we need to realize is that we can't look at the endocrine glands as separate organs that don't interact with each other. Everything is so intimately connected. Any gland that's overstimulated is going to affect how other glands behave. Okay, now let's fight. Welcome to Herbalism Uncensored, the podcast where we dig deep into the world of herbalism and natural healing. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Lila. We're two clinical herbalists who recognize the need for honest and authentic conversations about the state of natural healing today. As practitioners, we feel called to have uncensored discussions about why people aren't finding relief and what to do about it.
If you're frustrated by lack of results, overwhelmed by conflicting advice online, disillusioned by the commercialization of wellness, or simply passionate about natural healing, you're in the right place.
This podcast is our way of cutting through the noise, busting myths, and challenging marketing gimmicks.
This is Herbalism Uncensored.
Where together, we're nurturing the future of natural healing.
The contents of this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to be a substitute in any way for professional medical advice, treatment, or diagnosis. It's important that you always seek the advice of your physician or other licensed healthcare provider with any questions or concerns you may have regarding a medical condition. In this week's episode of Herbalism Uncensored, we're going to break down how coffee really affects your body and talk about some things to do to reduce your coffee and things that you can use to replace your coffee. All right, so this episode was a listener request. So Sarah, we hope you're listening. And thanks for the awesome episode idea.
Okay, before we get started, I have a couple disclaimers. First of all, what are you drinking right now, Alicia?
Water. Okay, I was drinking coffee with Hosha Woo in it. It was like a half and half because
that's better.
We had our last 26-hour Zoom weekend and I drank some coffee this weekend. So I'm like weaning my way down off of the coffee and using some adrenal tonics to help myself come back without a horrible coffee crash.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I am by no means anti-coffee. I think it all matters on who's drinking it and what the context is. So I had coffee yesterday. Coffee is not the devil. When people work with me, I think that's the first thing that they get so afraid of. They're like, please don't take away my coffee. It's the only joy I have in life, which I relate to because coffee is one of my great joys. But the disclaimer I also wanted to give was Alicia and I are living in chaos right now.
We are having a Mercury retrograde kind of time over here.
Yeah. So I'm getting ready to move and have sold off all my furniture. And I have a little station set up right now. It's janky over here. And Alicia, you got a thing going on.
First up, what are you using as a desk right now?
Cool. My cooler, my camping cooler.
I love that.
It's good. It's got like a nice hard top. It's spacious. I put like a cute little Mexican blanket on it, so it's still vibey.
So what are you sitting on?
My meditation cushion. But in my defense, I sat on the floor a lot while I had furniture too.
I know this to be true. The only time I sit in a chair is when we do this podcast or I see a client.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm live in a construction zone. My bedroom flooded last week and all my bedroom furniture is in my home office. So you guys see the one pretty corner of the room and the rest of it's absolute chaos.
Yeah. I think our pictures are okay. If you watch this on video, like it's going to look okay, but just know that we are living in chaos. So that's it. Disclaimer over.
Yeah. Roll with it.
All right. So you have personal experience with coffee and quitting coffee for healing, and as do I. And I think it'd be fun to share our personal stories. And I will just caveat mine with coffee really is like one of my single joys in life. Like not just drinking coffee, but like the experience of going out to a coffee shop and being amongst people or like going out to get the treat. Like I love coffee. That was like one of the ways we bonded with mom growing up. Like we'd go get coffee. And then I went to college and all of my happy time was spent studying in a coffee shop. Like I could live in a coffee shop. Coffee is like emotionally ingrained in me. And there was a point where my health hit a rock bottom and I had such bad burnout that I had to break up with it. And it was very hard, but sometimes you gotta get rid of the thing to feel good again, unfortunately. And now I can have it consciously. I can't just drink coffee all day, every day. I can't do my 6 shots of espresso and pour over every day. I have to be a lot more considerate. I don't drink it every day. I don't drink as much of it. I cut it with other things. I do a lot more decaf when I do drink coffee. So my relationship with coffee has changed, but it still remains a great joy in my life when I do get to hang out with it.
I relate to a lot of what you said. I grew up in the South where we're like really in my family, we're really into giving children coffee at 4 or 5 years old. You start off
Nice.
with like warm milk with a splash of coffee when you're about 4 or 5 and some sugar. And then as you get older, it becomes more coffee and less milk. Like Christmas in my family requires 2 coffee pots because you got to make 2 pots of coffee and then you got to make 2 more pots of coffee, and you give somebody a coffee cup this size and they complain that the cup's too small. So it's I don't know, coffee's something that I never really imagined that I would ever go without coffee or even go a day without drinking coffee. For myself in 2017, when I hit burnout. Like I had absolute adrenal fatigue. I had so much fatigue at that point in my life that I could sleep for 13 hours, go to get a load of laundry out of the dryer that I had washed before I'd put it in the dryer before I went to sleep, take it out of the dryer and throw it onto my bed to fold it. And just from carrying it from the dryer to my bed, I was so exhausted I had to lay back down. So the coffee really did have to go. And that was what, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And since then, there's been a lot of back and forth with the coffee. Sometimes I drink it, I start drinking it every day, I end up regretting it. And as I continue to grow in awareness, I'm really at a place. I get what you're saying. I love coffee. I love the taste of it. I love the smell of it. It smells like home. I like cold brew, the nitro cold brew. I like it warm with oat milk. I like it with a little bit of cinnamon in it. Like, I love the flavor and the smell and the taste of a good cup of coffee. But I am at a space where when I drink it, I almost always regret it. I can feel that it's not debilitating by any means, but I just don't feel quite up to snuff the next day after drinking it. And I don't know if it's getting older and just not having as much energy as I did when I was younger anyway, but the short story is I drink less and less coffee as time goes on, and I almost never drink it for more than 2 days in a row. And I often will go weeks without drinking it. And there's a lot of other things that I enjoy the taste and the smell and the feeling of that have just like I've crowded the coffee out and put other things in. And I think that my endocrine system is grateful when I stick to that.
I will say one thing that's interesting is as people start going on a journey where they're getting healthy and they're tuning in and they're getting more aware, you might have gotten away with doing something one way your entire life and not realized how bad it made you feel. But once you start peeling away the layers of the onion, you realize when you bring that thing back in how it was making you feel and your tolerance goes. I work with people that I've drinking coffee all my life. We might trial run it out for a period and then they bring it back in and they're like, whoa, this makes me feel differently than it's ever made me feel. And when you stop feeling like crap, you are less tolerant of things that don't make you feel good, which kind of sounds like where you're at. You are less tolerant of something. While it's not debilitating, it keeps you from feeling as good as you could feel. And that's how I feel. If I do this every day, I might love it in the moment, but I'm going to be paying for it on the back end. And now I'm aware that is now very in front in my awareness. And so I'm doing these things a little more consciously than I have in previous parts of my life. I feel like we should have one more disclaimer for this episode, and that is that there is really truly no substitute for coffee. Nothing hits like coffee hits, like the texture, the taste, these things they're not coffee. So you do have to, I think, change your expectations and let go of the fact that you think that there's going to be something identical to coffee that just doesn't have the ill effects that coffee has. That doesn't exist, but I love what you said about crowding it out because you find other things that you love and bring you joy, and it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing's just like coffee. I don't know. Some things come pretty close. And I like to start my day with a warm beverage and something slightly stimulating. I get myself up and going in different ways. And we're going to talk about all of those, all the different things that we've tried to do. But I think that if we could reframe it, instead of thinking, and this is what I've had to do with a lot of my life, and I've made a lot of changes over the years, that instead of thinking about it as I'm giving up something that I love, I'm going on an adventure and trying new things. Right? If I can get
Yes.
really excited and really curious about these new things that I'm trying, then, what we focus on grows. So if I focus on the excitement of trying the new things and exploring and finding what I like and what works for me, then I'm not focusing on that thing that I'm missing out on. And that could apply to a multitude of experiences. And I found some things that I really enjoy. Do you want to talk about what coffee does, what it really does?
Yeah, yes. I think that's a huge part of it. And the main thing it does is it stresses your body. I was gonna cuss. Okay, I'm not gonna cuss. It stresses your body like very intensely. It Drinking coffee gives you energy, but the energy is not coming from the coffee. It's basically stealing future energy from your body. It pumps your adrenal glands. Your body produces a bunch of stress hormones that gives you that nice high feeling you get from coffee. But then at the back end of the day, it leaves you drained because you just basically shot your own energy load for the day. So you are borrowing energy when you drink coffee. That's
Yeah.
how I framed it for myself. And once you start like paying attention to that, like you can feel it. Like you can feel like there is a cost associated with drinking this coffee and getting this energy from it now. And when people do that and they steal from future energy stores, it perpetuates the cycle of needing more coffee to keep you going. And then again, you're taking from the bank and the bank gets empty and then we get fatigued and then we start reaching for more caffeine and more sugar and more caffeine and more sugar and more things that don't actually make us feel good at the end of the day.
Very good. Yeah, absolutely. And you're
I'll
just,
say,
go ahead.
oh, now you can give us the technical explanation.
You're draining your battery. You're draining your battery. Let's see. So what caffeine, and this isn't just coffee, this is caffeine, blocks the adenosine receptors in the brain. This is our sleep pressure molecule. So when it builds up, you feel tired. Caffeine sits in the receptors without activating them, so you feel more awake. And it increases our sympathetic nervous system activity. We talked about this if you want to go back to our stress episode, it was early on in the year. We talked quite a bit about the difference between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. Stimulates the hypothalamus, which stimulates the pituitary, which stimulates the adrenals to release cortisol and adrenaline. This is the HPA axis. Over time, the HPA axis can become dysregulated. It's either overreactive with too much cortisol, or it becomes blunted with not enough appropriate rise and fall. This causes that wired but tired feeling, mood swings, trouble winding down at night, and energy crashes later in the day. We are at a place right now that was the Vedas told us was impossible, where we would be tired and unable to sleep. So when you have these long-term or perpetual, chronic, repetitive spikes in cortisol, adrenaline, and noradrenaline, It means more blood sugar, higher heart rate, increased blood pressure, heightened alertness. Caffeine can reduce insulin sensitivity short term. The combo of cortisol and adrenaline pushes glucose into the blood, so this contributes to blood sugar swings. We do have an epidemic of diabetes in our society. The chronic stress hormone dysregulation can influence ovulation, the severity of PMS, and perimenopausal symptoms. High stress hormones and poor sleep affect T4 to T3 conversion, can cause how our tissues respond to thyroid hormone. What we need to realize is that we can't look at the endocrine glands as separate organs that don't interact with each other. Everything is so intimately connected. Our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, any gland that's overstimulated is going to affect how other glands behave. And we have a whole lot of broad spectrum endocrine dysregulation as as a race of people, in the human race. And daily coffee drinking just exacerbates that problem. So if you have mood issues, if you have focus issues, if you have sleep issues, if you have blood sugar issues, thyroid issues, then did I say sleep issues, stress issues? If these are things that you find yourself struggling with, or these are challenges for you, or you just wish that you were able to handle these things just a little bit better, then reducing coffee or replacing coffee with something that's good for you might be a really good idea.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate, this isn't to say that coffee impacts everybody the same across the board. Again, somebody who's in a perfectly healthy state and drinking a modest amount of coffee, like it might not impact them negatively in the grand scheme of things. People that come and see Alicia and I are typically have some pain point that's big enough to start working on, where coffee might be considered if you want to feel better. So it's not black and white. I think there's a lot of context and nuance. The other thing I just want to touch on is we talk about caffeine like it's the same across the board, from teas to cocoa to yerba mate. And caffeine's really a family of different compounds. And so each of these things, like I'm going to say the caffeine in quotes in green tea may affect someone differently than the caffeine in coffee. So we're specifically focusing on coffee and the ill effects of coffee. A lot of these different plants and products contain different xanthines that aren't all caffeine. They don't all affect the body the same, but we just overarchingly call everything caffeine. So as we get into the episode, we will talk about other caffeine sources that might not be as detrimental to your health for where you're at in your healing process or your healing journey. I just wanted to make that distinction because for me, matcha hits different than a cup of cold brew or the coffee I get from Yerba Mate. We'll dive into that a little bit more.
Yeah, to 100%. Matcha is different from a cold brew coffee in a really delicious and amazing way.
Oh yeah, matcha's the best.
I've turned into a matcha latte kind of person.
Oh, so good. And then I'll just also note the other couple things that coffee can affect is the acidity in the body. Coffee's really acidic. A lot of people have heartburn and they keep adding acid to the mix, and it's a whole thing. And it's also drying. It's a diuretic. So it can be depleting or put us off balance in other ways than just the hormonal component that happens. I think that's a good coverage on coffee. And I will say that there's also just like in the realm of coffee, there's a spectrum of ways to drink your coffee that's going to be better or worse for your body. For instance, if you are waking up and you're drinking coffee first thing in the morning, before hydrating, before drinking food, that's going to impact you a lot harder than if you wait and eat your coffee with your food or after your food. Or what I have a lot of people do that they're not ready to give up coffee, but we still want to balance blood sugar, we still want to stop the fatigue, we still want to make progress, is we balance out the coffee with some fat. And so we put collagen, that's not fat, that's protein. We put collagen in our coffee or ghee in our coffee or coconut cream. There's ways to make the impact of coffee less on your body if you're not ready to give up coffee.
Yeah, if you're going to do something that's going to spike your glucose, add some protein and some fat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. But please eat your food and drink your coffee. Do not drink your food. Do not eat coffee.
But did I say that wrong?
You did.
Oh. Drink
Please
your food, eat your coffee. I would eat
don't eat
coffee if I could.
coffee.
Coffee grounds, like, you ever make a good, like, cold brew with some, like, cold foam and you, like, sprinkle some coffee grounds on top?
Are you kidding? I've eaten coffee
So
beans.
good.
Coffee beans are delicious.
Oh, good. Yes.
They're roasted. It's like eating a peanut.
And they're even better when they're covered in chocolate.
Yeah, but okay. I'm not perfect. I'm not
Nobody
perfect.
is.
When Sarah requested this episode, what she wanted to talk about was mushroom coffee substitutes. So I've never tried the mushroom coffee. This is sometimes it's coffee blended with medicinal mushroom. See, I have so many. This is the thing. I have so many different coffee substitutes that I can go to. And a few years ago, when the mushroom coffee substitutes came out, I was talking to an ND and I asked if any of them were good. Could she recommend any? And she said, no, they're all horrible. They're all filled with pesticides. They've all got corn in them. Just leave them alone. And I never looked any further from there. Maybe some things have changed. People have come out with more things. You've tasted them, Lila. How are they?
Oh, they're bad. It's like watery mushrooms. I tried for a while to do the mushroom coffees years ago, and they're not good. It's not an enjoyable cup or beverage to me. And I haven't tried them all. Most of my experience has been with Four Sigmatics, and they have a whole spectrum of different coffee or mushroom coffee substitutes with different flavors and different mushrooms. And I find them all to just be like, there's not enough body in it for it to be satisfying. I don't enjoy them on a flavor level. And I will say, I also highly covet my morning beverage. That is a ritual that has been in my life, whether it's coffee or tea or matcha. Like, my morning starts with the beverage. And when my morning beverage is bad, it can really impact a day. So I don't take those risks anymore.
Did you froth it up? You're supposed to froth it,
Oh
do all
yeah,
the
I
things.
doctored it, and oh yeah, definitely. I had a client, and he's on decaf now, and he said, "What do you think of that mud water? If you're on like Instagram or something, I'm sure you've seen mud water advertised. It's chai and a bunch of mushrooms and cacao and I think turmeric." And I said, "Ew, absolutely gross." And he goes, "Oh, she already bought it." And I was like, "Yeah, what'd she think?" She hates it. I was like, "I know. We will not be sponsored by mud water."
We will not be sponsored by Medwater. We won't be sponsored by probably any company that does a lot of advertising on Instagram, I would guess. We will not be sponsored by Instagram, actually. This is the deal with the mushroom coffee substitutes. In case if you've never heard of a mushroom coffee substitute, they use common mushrooms used are things like reishi, lion's mane, chaga, and cordyceps. The cool things about them, some of them have no caffeine. Some of them have a little bit of coffee in them. Some of them will add different, acids or adaptogens. So there's potential support for the nervous system and the immune system, and you can keep the same coffee ritual moment. But the problem with them, and it's all the same problems that you have with all the mushrooms, we talked about this a couple of episodes ago, is that what part of the mushroom are they using? Are they using the fruiting body or are they using the mycelium? They have different attributes, different constituents, different advantages, and it depends on the mushroom as well. And what I found is because I did a deep dive down quite a rabbit hole of a lot of these different companies like Mudwater and Rise and there's Kappa, Everyday Dose Mushroom Coffee, Shroomy, and excuse me, and most of them don't tell you. Like you can go to their website and move all around, and they might tell you that their mushrooms are organic and their mushrooms are grown, for example, rice. Their mushrooms are organic, they're grown in California and Nevada. That's good, that's promising. I'm excited about that. I go to their website. I can't find out if they're using the mycelium. I can't find out if they're using the fruiting bodies. I can't find out what kind of growing medium they're using to grow these mushrooms. Like for somebody like me, I don't do corn. So I don't want to buy something that's grown on corn and have corn in my coffee substitute. That'll cause me some problems down the line. I have an inflammatory response. You can chat with them. There's no phone number you can call. You can chat with them. And I chat with them, and the chatbot cannot understand my question. Is it the fruiting body or is it the mycelium? And I typed that in a couple of times. They don't understand. What growing medium do you use? I said, oh, I think Alex has an answer to your question. And there were three options. And what do you want to talk to Alex about? And they all have to do with my subscription. And that seems to be how most of these companies that I see advertised a lot, or any of them that I was able to look into that I see on Facebook or Instagram, it's a lot of marketing fluff. It's just
It's all marketing. Yes, so much marketing fluff.
It's all marketing. What I did find, and I do like this, and I'm gonna share, is Rasa, RASA. Their website is wearerasa.com. And they do some mushroom coffee substitutes with adaptogenic herbs. They are a fair trade company. They source from 16 different countries. It's owned by Lisa Ganora. She's a longtime practicing clinical herbalist who is well versed in herbal in plant constituents and how they're extracted. They actually say on their website and on the bags what part of the mushrooms they use, whether they use the mycelium or the fruiting bodies. Their mushrooms are double extracted with alcohol and water. That gets the most of the constituents out of them. So like I said, I've never tried the mushroom coffee substitutes. I'm going to purchase some from this company because just from looking around and doing some reading about them, I feel confident that they've got a decent product and that they're doing everything they can to give us the best thing that they can give us, and that the people who are formulating it know what they're doing.
Yeah, there's something that happens when, I'm not saying this happens to all companies, but when companies scale to a certain level, a lot of corners are cut. And the other thing that happens with a lot of these mushroom blends, and I'll vouch for Sigmatics, it seems pretty decent. They do third-party testing. They use the fruiting bodies, and they use higher doses of mushrooms in their products. So instead of just getting like a trace sprinkle amount of mushrooms, like you're getting a quarter gram to a gram, depending on what you're drinking, which, is more than just a trace amount. Some of these other issues are during the processes, sometimes the mushrooms are heated, which can reduce the efficacy and destroy the stuff that's good for you. Alicia touched on the extraction methods. Nobody discloses the beta glucan content. Nobody discloses if there's grain filler, how much grain filler, and then a lot of these companies don't actually tell you how much mushroom is in them. So I'm going to pick on Mudwater again because it is just like Silicon Valley slop. They say that there's all these things, there's all these good things in it, right? Like you get your lion's mane, you get your adaptogens, you get the things, but if it is in an amount that is a trace amount, then it's not going to do anything for you. So these companies make these big claims that it's going to give you energy and it's going to do this and that and blah, blah, blah. But the dose matters, including in your coffee, if you're going to make those health claims.
Because this isn't a mushroom coffee substitute is not medicine. You're not going to get enough into you, enough mushrooms or beta glucans into you drinking a cup of mushroom substitute coffee every day to really do a whole lot to your body. What you're doing, or I'll use I statements, as what I'm doing when if I drink a mushroom coffee substitute is I'm having a lifestyle beverage. I'm having a nice, warm ritual beverage that's replacing my nice, warm ritual beverage that was not good for my endocrine system. Replacing it with something that's good for my body. And so if I'm going to do that, I want to make sure, A, that it's good for my body, right? That it does have the things in it that I want in it, and that it doesn't have a bunch of fillers. I want to check the label. I want to make sure that it doesn't have a bunch of sugar or flavors or filler ingredients that are made from things that I don't want to put in my body. I want to look at the ingredients and make sure that there's actual mushrooms in the ingredients. If there are adaptogens, I want to make sure that they're the adaptogens that I want. And I will check for sourcing transparency and testing, good labeling, and also decide, do I want to go completely coffeeless or caffeine-less? Or do I want to just dilute my coffee or dilute my caffeine with something that's going to nourish me a little bit? It's just something a little bit nourishing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody here drinks mushroom coffee and loves it, reach out and tell us because I'm open to being wrong here. For me personally, I will also use Samaya's statement. I don't find it to be tasty or enjoyable. Mushrooms, these mushrooms, they're not yummy. You can hide them, you can manipulate them to make it decent. But if I'm not getting the medicinal benefits, I'm not going to suffer through a morning beverage that I don't enjoy. I will slug down a disgusting cup of herbs because I know it's giving me benefits, but that will not be my morning beverage. Yeah, that's my take. But I think we have a lot of really exciting potential coffee substitutes for people. And some of them are just like, even, yes, even if you're not willing to give up coffee or you're not wanting to give up coffee, like there are things worth knowing about and getting in your routine because they're like just so good. So I say we jump into some of the fun stuff.
Hosha what?
Hosha Woo. Okay, you started with the best. You didn't even say the best one for last.
Oh, what's the first one on the list? And I'm just dying to be like, Hosha what? Hosha what?
Alicia, I feel like I love Hosha Woo as much as the next guy, but I feel like this is like your baby, so you take it.
I just love Hosha Woo. Polygonum multiflorum. This is the root. It's a traditional Chinese herb. This is a kidney tonic. They prepare it in black bean sauce. It comes in these like little black cubes. I put them in my Chinese medicine maker, which is really just a giant ceramic electric kettle. So you can put them in a pot of water on the stove and you bring it to a boil and then you cover it and you simmer it for an hour, or you can simmer it longer. You can simmer it for 2 hours and it cooks down a little bit more and it just gets this nice, rich, full bodied texture that's very similar to coffee. It smells like pancakes when you're brewing it. I brewed some the other night. My husband came in, he's like, man, it smells so good in here. He always gets mad at me that I'm not making pancakes and I'm brewing Hosha Woo. And it just, I don't know, it's my coffee substitute. It's my favorite thing. It really is one of the great joys in my life. And I drink it two ways. I will dilute my coffee with it. If I drink some coffee, like the next day, I can have some Hosha Woo with my coffee. And I like to drink it at night. I like to drink it in the evenings. It's just like such a nice, warm beverage in the evening time. There's no reason that you can't drink it in the morning time. And it doesn't give you there's no stimulation. It tastes like coffee, smells like breakfast, has a similar texture, but it heals the exact part of you that you've been overworking when you've been overindulging in caffeine. It's a long-term nourishing tonic. It's the kind of thing that after you drink it for a week or two or three, usually I've used this with clients. Most of them can tell a difference after just a few days, 3, 4 days, a week. And they notice that they just have a little bit more energy, just a little bit more get up and go. It's not buzzy. It's not stimulating. It's building. And it's wonderful.
It's pretty delicious. As far as herbs go that we drink, it is on the top end of the flavorful ones. Hosha Woo is actually one of 11, I believe, true adaptogens. So this is a true adaptogenic herb.
Is
And
it?
I believe so. And when you are drinking it, you're getting so many long-term building, nourishing benefits. In Chinese medicine, they call it I'm going to misquote this. It's like the king of black hair or something because it has an affinity for making gray hair black.
Mr.
So
Woo's black hair.
thank you, Mr. Woo's black hair. And you're just going to get so many just benefits. Like it's going to help with blood sugar. It's going to help with your immune system. It's going to help with the way you handle stress. Now, it's really slow acting, but you're going to be drinking a warm, nourishing beverage anyway. You might as well make it Hosha Woo because it's very satisfying. I totally agree. And I will say that the fact that it smells like pancakes is a little upsetting and sometimes does lead me to make pancakes. There'll be some like healthy hippie pancakes, but still, you smell it and you're like, I need maple syrup.
I want to add one more thing about it. There are some now, if you go and you Google Hosha Woo, or maybe if you ask ChatGTP about Hosha Woo, you may find that there have been some reports of toxicity concerns, or it's liver toxicity is the issue. Now, I have looked into these reports. They're really spotty. It's all a lot of really anecdotal evidence and like all over the place. What I will say is if you're going to get Hosha Woo, don't just go buy your Hosha Woo from some fly-by-night company on Amazon. Don't get your Hosha Woo on eBay from God knows who. Make sure that you're getting Hosha Woo from a practitioner who's getting it from a trusted supplier, because there is a preparation process, and we've, as human beings, have been drinking Hosha Woo for 3,000 years. I seriously doubt that it causes liver toxicity. And since I've been drinking it for years and all of my liver panels are stellar, it's leads me to believe that it's an issue with the preparation process or some kind of adulteration. So just make sure you're getting a good source.
Great point. That's absolutely beautiful for bringing up. Sourcing matters on all of the things we talk about. And that's a great reminder because I'm sure there's plenty of jankily processed Hosha Woo out there.
Topic, I had a neighbor who purchased some golden seal on Amazon, and it was not golden seal.
Yeah.
It was like the wrong color. It didn't taste like golden seal. It tasted like turmeric. It was orange like turmeric. You just, yeah. Everybody's an herbalist now.
All right, this is a rant for another day.
Okay. You take the, you want to take the next one? Yeah. Try the Hosha Woo. It's amazing.
The next one is matcha, which we already touched on. Matcha is pretty popular. I'm sure most people know what it is. It's finely powdered green tea. It has L-theanine in it, and it's anti-inflammatory and has lots of other good antioxidant properties. So you're getting some bang for your buck with the matcha. We didn't talk. Coffee does have some antioxidants and other beneficial properties, which we didn't talk on. We really just came out the gate and said everything wrong with coffee. But I will just add a note that there are some good things about coffee. And with every plant or thing out there, there is some good and some bad, and context matters. So I will just throw that out there. But I like matcha gives me a more even energy throughout the day than like a coffee caffeine where like you're off to the races and then you taper out later. Matcha feels a lot more even to me. I don't necessarily feel the boost. I just enjoy it. Matcha's really good. I had matcha this morning with some collagen and homemade almond milk, and it hit very nicely. So big advocate for matcha. I don't know what else to say about it. I don't like it hot. I only drink it iced, and you can call the Ayurvedic police on me, but
Yeah, you like my siren noise? Could you tell it was a
good.
siren? Okay.
Yes.
I love an oat milk matcha. Love it with some like cardamom or some cinnamon. Or what? One thing I will do when I drink it warm, you might want to try this, is put like a big spoonful of Chyavanprash in it
That's interesting.
and froth it up real good. And it does give the like energy boost that you get from caffeine, but that L-theanine just evens it out. So it's a nice, calm energy boost. For people who don't know, matcha is a finely powdered green tea. You actually are ingesting the tea leaves when you drink it. So you get a lot more antioxidants than you do if you just brew a cup of green tea. Yeah, that was when I first stopped coffee. Like matcha was definitely my everyday AM beverage.
We all agree matcha's king. The next one, I don't know if you have a lot of experience with, but I'm a big fan of yerba mate.
I'm not, so you take it.
All right, you'll have to tell us about that. So there's a cult where I grew up, and they have a deli, and you go drink yerba mate at the deli. And if you see Mate Factor, they own that brand. That's probably one of the biggest mate brands that you can find in stores. And so I call it my cult juice because all the mate comes from this cult, and that's where I was introduced to mate was at the Yellow Deli in Vista, California. I've also gone to some other locations, and the Yellow Deli's been a big part of my life. So they're the cult, and it's by Cult Juice. And yerba mate definitely packs I don't even want to call it a stimulating punch, but like it gives you a lot of energy, and the energy lasts, and it doesn't have a crash. It can hit hard, definitely. Like you will feel it, you will focus better, you will have more energy, but it can be also a little. I don't crash, but sometimes I can get over caffeinated with mate. I love to make it into a latte with some milk and some salt and some like honey, and it's really good and just it's nice. Like it's a very satisfying coffee replacement beverage to me. And then there's that yerba mate brand on the shelves in the yellow cans.
Hmm.
I can't think of the name. But those are packed with sugar. So I think they have one or two unsweetened ones, and that's where probably most people know yerba mate from. But a lot of their products are just sugary. So if you're gonna go with that mate, find their like one or two unsweetened versions and go with that because you don't need a bunch of sugar to go with your mate. And if you really want to be cool, you get a gourd and you get the bombio straw, I think is what they're called, and you put your mate leaves in and you pour your hot water on, and they do it in a special way where you can basically refill your gourd throughout the day with the same pile of leaves. And then your straw has a strainer on it, so you're just drinking straight from the water and leaves, and that's how it's traditionally taken in the Southern American countries. But I'm not that cool, so
I've just learned something new.
you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh,
I've never
yeah.
seen a gourd with tea leaves
Yeah,
and straws with strainers. This is all like this is a whole new world. See, we're talking about
Google mate gourd.
adventures and curiosity. Yeah, I don't yerba mate for me, it's too stimulating. It just makes me a little bit agitated. If you're looking for the energy boost and are curious about coffee alternatives, I highly recommend it. It's effective.
Strong contender.
Strong contender.
Very strong contender.
Next one's probably my second favorite.
I'm drinking it right now.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I have a nice dandy blend
A dandy
latte.
blend?
I okay, so introduce it and I'll tell you I'll talk about dandy blend.
Roasted dandelion root. So, yeah, we are talking about the weeds in the yard, roasted, chopped up, roasted. Not exactly brewed like coffee, again, decocted. Just that's how I make it. I decoct it just like I do the Hosha Woo. And it's liver supportive, it's detoxifying, it's is the root female supportive? Female support too? Didn't look that up.
I think it has a downward moving energy.
So tell me about your dandy brew.
You've never seen that company? They're pretty big. It's a red, white, and yellow bag called Dandy Blend. And they micronize the dandelion. So it's instant. So it's powdered and it's instant. And it has a couple other grains in it. Let me see if I can pull up the ingredients. Like I think it might have some rye or barley or chicory. Like it's a blend, with dandelion being the main ingredient. And they process all of those things in a way that like the barley is gluten free. So it's an extract of barley, and you're not just getting, if you have gluten problems, you could probably drink Dandy Blend because of the way that they process everything. No additives, no preservatives, nothing artificial. It comes organic, or they have an organic version at least that I get, and I have a big old bag of it, and that's been my coffee substitute lately. I make it 5 times stronger than the bag tells me to. But it's super satisfying. It's roasty and dark, and I get a lot of enjoyment from it. And it's nice because it's instant. And you could make it as a cold brew, or you could just throw a spoonful in hot water and stir. You don't have to decoct the dandelion. So that's a fun, convenient option.
That sounds super cool. I always forget which one of the dandelions is good for is good for breast. I think it's the root.
think it's the root has like a very specific like for mastitis or something. But is it
Yeah,
because it's cleansing the blood?
it's a galactagogue. It just clears congestion in general because it's for liver congestion. It's so it helps with any kind of stagnation. I don't, and I think that it's also just like a very close substitute, like in taste and mouthfeel. And I will add burdock root to mine as well. The burdock with the dandelion. The burdock is a little bit more, makes a thicker decoction. So it just gives a similar mouth feel to the coffee.
Nice. And so our next one is chicory root, which to me is pretty similar to the dandelion root. You can buy it ground up and brew it like coffee, or similarly, you can decoct it like Alicia just mentioned with the dandelion root. It's got some good benefits. And just, I will add to the category of dandelion and chicory root coffee substitutes. There is a line of what I'll call like grain beverages. I grew up Mormon. We drank a lot of postum. So if you know postum and Pero, they have the things like chicory root and dandelion root and barley and rye, and it's extracted in a way, and you get this brown powder that looks like ground coffee, and it's usually instant, and you put it in hot water and drink it, and you doctor it up with your milks and your sweeteners if you want, and it's pretty satisfying. Those might just be nostalgic for me, but they are totally a good coffee substitute, and I put them up there with the Dandy blend and the closest to taste and texture to coffee. And I'll honorably mention Tiacchino. Have you ever used that brand?
No, I'm learning
Okay, we're
kinds
like
of things.
expanding your mind.
Yeah.
I think they're mainly dandelion and chicory if I recall correctly, but they put like cocoa and carob and like date seeds and fig seeds in their blends, and then you steep them like teas or you brew them like coffees. They're decent. They have a whole line. Some of them are flavored, like you get like caramel flavor, vanilla flavor, and things like that. They're not as full bodied to me as some of these other substitutes like the dandelion or the chicory alone, but it's worth knowing about if you'll see them in your health food store.
Well, now that you mention it, because there's a brand, and I can't remember the name of the brand now, but I'm picturing like a coffee can on the coffee aisle that's like a rusty orange color. And I want to say it's from Louisiana. It's got some kind of a Cajun Louisiana feel to the name, and it's half chicory, half coffee. It's diluted with
Cafe du
chicory.
Monde.
Cafe du Monde. Yeah,
Yep.
Cafe du Monde. And did you look that up or are you familiar?
I'm familiar with it, but I didn't remember the name.
Yeah, and that's it's just one way to have a little bit less caffeine and do a little different things. Yeah, you can have fun with these things. You can start to, you don't have to give up coffee. And yes, I know that we are in a place like, I don't know, we might be in a little bit of disagreement. I might be a little bit more black and white about coffee than you are, actually. I remember when they started to say that it was good for prostate health, and it was like, okay, yeah, it's antioxidant, it's diuretic, but there's plenty of things that are diuretic and antioxidant that don't pump your adrenal glands. And coffee's not it's not evil, it's not the worst thing that you can do, but if you're like me and you are drinking coffee every day, if you drink coffee the way I drink coffee, it's not good. So anything to do some harm reduction and start to crowd it out, I think is always a good idea.
All right, I want to touch on two things really quickly because I know we're pushing time, but cool bringing up the Café du Monde. Monde? I don't know how to say
Monde.
it.
Monde.
Oh, it's probably French. It's come from
Yeah,
Louisiana.
it's
Okay.
cafe monde.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
it's coffee of the mountain. I think
Oh,
so.
that's cute.
I think monde is a mountain. I could be totally wrong. I don't speak French.
But you bring up a good point. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, and you can 50-50. Or if you're ready to cut out coffee, you don't necessarily have to go cold turkey, and titrating down your dose might be helpful. So one day you do 90% coffee, 10% chicory, or 10% Hosha Woo, or 10% dandelion. And then you do that for a week. And then you do 20% your coffee alternative, 80% coffee. And then you go 70-30 and 60-60 and 50-50 to the point where you eventually phase out your coffee, because cutting out coffee cold turkey can be really miserable. I know if I am drinking coffee and I stop drinking it, I don't sleep at night for a while until my hormonal systems, my endocrine system catches up and evens out. But if I'm in a really tired, wired place, drinking coffee in the morning helps me sleep, which is a place of dysregulation. I don't recommend it, but just know that it doesn't have to be all or nothing, cold turkey, black and white. This is like all a spectrum of how much coffee to include, when to include it, how to phase it out, yada yada. The other thing, because we're gonna disagree again.
Oh, before we disagree again, can I just add something to what you just said?
Okay.
Okay. And I love this, that this is not a black and white thing. And I absolutely agree with you on that. And I just want to add on that note, add that when I think that when we talk about things like do 10% and 90% or 20/80 or 30/70 and move in that direction, to be really clear that this isn't an exact science and there isn't anything black and white about this. You don't have to weigh things. You don't have to pull out your measuring cups and know how many ounces of coffee you're putting to how many ounces of Hosha Woo or whatever it is that you might be using. You can eyeball it and just take steps in the direction that you want to go. It's not about reaching any particular destination at any particular time. It's about continuing moving.
Good point. Yeah, and you gotta make it work for you. It's gotta be sustainable and it's gotta taste good. And sometimes your taste buds can guide the way.
Okay, now let's
Um,
fight.
I think chai should have made the coffee substitute list.
Let's just talk about chai. Chai is a
Okay.
lovely morning beverage.
I think it's delightful.
It really
And
is.
I think black tea is a decent caffeine source where you're getting some of the benefits of caffeine, but you're not getting the full side effects that happen when you drink coffee. I think making your own chai can be very ritual. You toast the spices, you decoct them, you add your black tea. It can also be a very experiential morning routine. I think chai is delicious. I like to make it decaf with some rooibos instead of black tea. I definitely think it's worth a mention.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not opposed to adding chai. When I said chai is not a coffee substitute because it doesn't taste like coffee. It tastes like chai.
Matcha doesn't taste like
It doesn't.
coffee.
That's true. And I don't know, but maybe this is where I get messed up and live in my, what do I call it? What would the word be? I'm like an Indophile. I'm so in love with all things India. I think I had my first cup of chai when I was like 14 years old. So to me, it's just a beverage. I don't think of it as something new. But that actually is more times than not my morning beverage is black tea with some spices in it, which I guess is chai. Put a little cinnamon, put a little clove, put a little cardamom in it. That's chai. And yeah, it's good for you. It's got the little bit of boost that I need, but I never feel overstimulated by it. I personally really love the Assam tea from India. That's my favorite of all the teas. And yeah, I support that. We don't have to fight.
I like chai.
I do want to make a couple of mentions, and leads right into this as we're talking to chai, because I know I've mentioned before the herbal chai that Star West Botanicals makes that is caffeine free. It's already pre-made, comes in a little bag. I'm sure you can probably buy it in tea bags, but it's also loose leaf, which is always the more economical way to go. So that's the way I like to go. And it also has licorice in it. And so, if you are considering getting off the caffeine, your future self will thank your current self if you do some things to tone your adrenal glands and your endocrine system in general. And one of the things that really helps that system to heal from the abuse that it's taken, if you've been pouring coffee into your body every day, is licorice. And that's why I mentioned the Star West Botanicals brand, because it does have a little bit of licorice in it. Licorice doesn't take much to get a little bit of an effect. It helps people feel better, pretty quick. It's super sweet. So if you like sweet stuff, you're going to like it. If you're like me and you don't like sweet stuff, you can just take your licorice and drink your chai without it.
That's a great mention. Yeah. I'm gonna have to check that out. I didn't. That sounds yummy.
Licorice is another one that's got there's concerns about like blood pressure balance. And I'm going to say if you have high blood pressure, take some licorice and check your blood pressure. But the chances of licorice
Should we do an
affecting
episode on that? Should
your
we
blood
do an
sugar,
episode on some of these? We hit comfrey and chaparral and all the herbs with the rap sheet.
I don't know if I have enough experience with comfrey and chaparral to speak to them, but I know that licorice, I mean, there's a lot of hysteria around licorice. And the thing is that it can, in about like 12% of the population, cause their pericardium to hold water. So that's why you can take it for a period of time and then stop taking it. But it's not like you're just going to keel over from taking some licorice. Licorice is really good for you. Traditional Chinese medicine calls it the great harmonizer. They put it in everything. I don't see a bunch of Chinese people like just dropping dead from high blood pressure for the last
We might have
3,000 years.
we might have to do a spin-off on that.
You want to make a couple of other should we make a couple of honorable mentions about things that tone the adrenals?
Yeah. And I think we need an entire adaptogens episode at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be our adaptogens. It's gonna be herbs that restore our circadian rhythms, that even out our stress levels, that do all these things just to tonify our systems. You mentioned licorice, that's a great one. We'll honorable mention ashwagandha because I don't think we're allowed to go an episode without saying the A word. Our ginsengs, right? Our eleuthero, our Korean red ginsengs, like there's so many good options. I don't see. Here's where I always get in a little bit of a dilemma sharing some of this information. And I know we're on time, so I'll keep my soapbox short. Is to nourish when, like what you were describing earlier, you had severe adrenal burnout. You had some chronic fatigue-like syndrome. That was serious.
Mm-hmm.
When I hit my wall, it was serious. It wasn't as serious, but like it was bad. And it wasn't like I could take one thing and it was going to fix it all. It wasn't like I could start taking a Luthro and I would feel good tomorrow. Like it takes a whole person, individualistic approach that is going to be hit from many facets. So bringing in these herbs can be really helpful if it's the right herb for you and if it's the right dose and it's the right timing on where you're at in your situation. So I'm always like a little hesitant to give out some of this information because I want people to use it wisely and responsibly and be empowered, but also it's also very simplistic in the grand scheme of how any of this works.
Korean red ginseng, not for everyone. It tonifies yang energy. If you're already a super hot yang individual, it can put things out of balance. Even though, I mean, it's ginseng and it's a true adaptogen, it might not be the best choice for you. Rhodiola, a fantastic stamina enhancer. I've took rhodiola. I found it to be incredibly drying. It threw some things out of balance. It was not the right choice for me. And just to be clear, when I had that hit that wall and I had burnout and I had all of the symptoms of fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, I was in my first year of herb school. No, I was in my second year of herb school and I scheduled an appointment with KP Khalsa and I wasn't drinking Hosha Woo. I gave up the coffee. He had me on a whole herb protocol. I was probably swallowing a total of 4 ounces of herb every day. I had a lot of other symptoms, not just the fatigue. And I went and I saw a professional and he helped guide me to a place where today, because I abused my endocrine system for 20 years, I still enjoy things like licorice and Hosha Woo, and I do take a little bit of ginseng every day to continue to nourish my body because I want to continue doing the things that I enjoy for as long as possible. And I feel great today. I feel way better than I did 10 years ago, and I want to continue to feel better. But no, I didn't just start drinking Hosha Woo and
Everything was fixed.
suddenly was fixed because that's not how it works, guys. There is no plant medicine is complex and it is individual, and this is not chemical intervention.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't believe in that there's a chemical solution to any problem that I have. Any problem that I have is going to take some work on my part and some exploration and probably some trial and error. And when it comes to plant medicine, It's individualized, it takes time, and there is no non-drug drug that acts like a drug that isn't a drug.
Yeah, I just want to like shout from the rooftops that these things have so much nuance to them. Like context matters, all the things matter. Like you could spend days talking about it, and we're filling a lot of information in a short segment, but the picture is very grand and very interwoven and interconnected, and there's all these different facets of it. So I think it's just worth throwing out there. But anything on that coffee substitute list is probably worth a try. And I think that you could definitely dabble and explore and make it fun and reach out if you have questions or you want to talk. Like, this is good information and these are good tools for the toolbox. I think, regardless of where you're at on your journey, they just might not take you where you think they will or where you want to go.
And if you want to go deeper, give us a call. Work with us one-on-one, because I could talk all day about all of the herbs that I know and all of the things that they do and what Chinese medicine says about them and what Ayurveda says about them. And all of that matters, but none of that matters as much as you matter. Like, you matter and you are an individual, and I can't tell you what to do and or guide you to the things that are going to make you feel like your best self unless I get to know you. You matter. You matter way more than like any of the knowledge and book learning and experience that I have.
Yeah, it's what bringing it back to Hippocrates. It's more important to know who has the disease than it is to know what disease they have. All right, that's enough soapboxing for the day.
This week, why don't you just try swapping 1 cup of coffee for a substitute or a tonic and see how you feel? And let us know what you tried and how it went. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for spending time with us today and listening to us demonize your favorite beverage, or listening to me demonize your favorite beverage while Lila defends it.
I like my coffee. I'm
My
not gonna
coffee
lie.
too. I do.
All right, we'll see everyone
Thank you
next
so
time.
much, Lila.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Herbalism Uncensored. We're genuinely humbled by the love and support you've shown us. If you've been enjoying the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review if you feel called, and don't hesitate to reach out. Whether it's with a question, a success story, or a topic you'd love us to explore in a future episode. And remember, both Alicia and Lila, that's me, run virtual clinics. We'd love for you to check out what we're up to. You can find Alicia's practice Holistically Correct at holisticallycorrect.com, and you can learn more about my work at the Virtual Natural Healing Clinic by visiting tvnhc.com. Until next time, be well, stay grounded, and keep healing.